Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Senior Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Wednesday, August 23rd, 5:25 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Market Insight video. State of the market, mild correction. After today's rally, the market less than 4%. When I say the market, I mean the S&P 500, less than 4% off of its recent highs slightly over 4,600. Check the trend gauge over here. Market leaders, bearish yellow arrow means we're seeing improvement. Short term, all five of the major indexes. What we do is we invest across three time frames here with the thought that the proof that the market doesn't get into serious trouble unless the S&P 500 breaks below its 200-day moving average. We give the market the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean we're going to be owning a bunch of leaders if they're not acting well, however. And that's kind of the market we've been in for the last 2 to 3 weeks, as we got stopped on a couple of things and got down to where we just owned NVDa going into earnings today. And I'll comment on that shortly. So all five of the major indexes had been below their 21-day moving average coming into the week. That's why you see the big red arrow there. However, NASDAQ 100, BIG-7, nice rally today. So we got the yellow arrow there pointing towards neutral. And I'll comment on the state of the indexes along with the NVIDIA report in a second. Medium term, all five still below of the indexes, still below the 50-day moving average, but above the long-term 200-day moving average. So what happened today? It was O'Neill rally attempt day 4. This is the first day that we look through a possible follow-through day to change the tone of the market, the state of the market. And did we get it? It's kind of on the edge. There's reasons to say yes, there's reasons to say no. Let's break those down quickly. So what you're normally looking for is a gain of about 1.25% on higher volume in one of the indexes. We got 1.1% on the S&P, and volume on the NYSE was above yesterday. So as far as the NYSE and the S&P are concerned, the volume was there, but the price action wasn't. NASDAQ 100 was up 1.58%, but the volume was lighter on the NASDAQ. So as far as the NASDAQ was concerned, price action was there, but the volume wasn't. However, after hours, NVIDIA uh, blew out their earnings report again, raised guidance. It's up between 8 and 9%. And there's big volume coming in to NVIDIA, to the SPY, to the Qs after hour. So are we having an after hour follow through day? Possibly. We'll see what the IBD and MarketSmith say tomorrow, because I'm not going to get out of sync with what they're doing. As far as I'm concerned, the improvement we've seen in leaders, if NVIDIA holds its gains, uh, with this move, the S&P and the NASDAQ are going to be above their 21 and their 50-day moving averages tomorrow. If the after hours gains hold, we're up 0.6% on the S&P after hours. We're up a little over 1% on the NASDAQ 100 after hours. So combine those two, those are some pretty decent gains. And the criteria is there for the follow through day, but we'll see. Things are never as clear as they seem. In fact, there was no after hours trading back in the day when Bill O'Neill set down the initial rules, but there's also no BIG-7. But times change and systems have to change also. The RG8 up 1.4%. This is our 8 growth ETF composite. They all have a stochastic positive hookup from oversold. Dow up 0.5%. Mid caps up 1.1. Russell 2000 small caps up a little more than 1%. Global 60/40 up a little more than 1%. Bonds, big break off the yields today, so bond prices up nicely. That certainly helped. In-house GROTECTION up 0.82%, almost double that after hours if you factor in our big SSO position and our approximately 4.5% NVIDIA or NVDL position after hours. So we're getting a nice bump on that. We'll hit the tail of the tape. And the indexes, let's get right into it. So here's the S&P 500. You can see day one right here, rally off the low. We finished red, but in the upper part of the range, that's a support day, qualifies as day one. Day two was Monday, nice. Day three ran into the declining 8 after a gap up, declining 8 EMA. I commented in last night's video, completely normal action, and it is. We got strength today, gapped up at the open about a 0.25% and put in the low immediately. Let's look at a 5-minute chart here. This is good stuff. Gapped up, low immediately, and just a nice trend higher. I didn't see anybody predicting this before Jackson Hole on Friday or before NVIDIA reported, but it happened. You can't go into a day in the market with a fixed expectation in your mind because anything can happen. And then a little bit of a base into a close after hours. The SPY, like I said, up 0.6%. Let's see where we are after hours here. We'll flip to SPY because, well, there's a 12-point difference between the ES and the S&P. So let's get it that way. ES after hours trading at 44.76, so that should be 44.64 on a daily chart of the S&P 500, and that puts us, if we go to the daily chart here, above the 21 and above the 50, 21 being at 44.50, the 50-day moving average at 44.59. So see if those hold throughout tomorrow's session. Heck, they might not even hold overnight, but we'll see. We don't make any predictions. We interpret what's going on with the market. It's all about scenarios and probabilities. Here's the NASDAQ 100, up 1% after hours, trading at 372.75. Today's high was 370. So up in this area after hours, above the 50 and above the 21. Again, got to see uh, how the action actually ends up playing out. Let's flip to the Dow. Dow's having some, as much as it had relative strength. I've talked about this. When you see relative weakness or relative strength for a multi-week period, it really doesn't persist. And what's happened is that a couple of high-priced stocks at the top of the Dow not helping it this week, and you see relative weakness now kicked in, breaking below the 21-day moving average of the relative strike line, despite seeing the hookup in the stochastics. It's really the weakest of the 5 indexes right now from a relative strength standpoint. Not a big pop after hours either because NVIDIA's not in there. Let's go to mid caps. Closed basically right on the 8 EMA. Basically, the mid cap index doesn't trade much after hours. You see the stochastic hook up there. So we held the 200. A bear flag isn't a bear flag until it breaks down. And right now, this is making higher highs, so it's not breaking down. But we definitely have to see what the reaction of the market is tomorrow. Here's small caps also looking like a bear flag, but made a higher high on the 4-day right into the 8 EMA. Not up slightly after hours. Hook up on the stochastics also. So that's the 5 major indexes. Let's flip to the VIX. Since hitting the declining 200-day moving average, 4 days down right into the 21 EMA is the VIX. So basically right at it. We want to get back below this 15 level, which is where we spent most of the time while the market was rallying. Flip to the dollar down today. So coming off of the highs along with interest rates, but right into the 8 EMA, no change in ultra short trend there. But early the dollar was up, and gold, silver, and gold and silver stocks were also up, and they had a good day. Here's gold up 1%, coming off of this tight 4-day bottom. GDX gold stocks up 2.8%, running into the declining 21 though. Remember putting in rally attempts, but running into the declining 21 from late May through early June and never could get above it. Silver had a big gap up, closed up 3.87%. I don't know what's going on there. If anybody does, drop me a line, but nice gap up We'll now see if it can hold the lows of the gap up day. Bitcoin up 3% after this big gap down on Friday of last week. Let's flip to bonds now. Big move up in bond prices, gap up, held it, closed at the high of the day into the declining 21. Prices hooking up off of oversold, very similar to what the market is doing. And TLT, same thing, that's the broad bond index, big gap up 2.5%, coming off of oversold. So let's flip to the yields now. Yields coming off their highs, pulled off yesterday, big gap down today and closing at the lows back below the ADMA, down 2.86% on the 30-year. This has certainly had something to do with the strength in the markets today. The 10-year down 3% coming off the high also, but just into this breakout area, so kind of like into the pivot from the recent highs back at the beginning of August. So that's all the inter-asset correlation that we cover. Let's go to the tail of the tape. Let me change this because we are now at the 21 EMA, and that's not negative. Let's change the font to a neutral font. So I'm going to point out some changes here. Pullback, obviously, in the rates. Dollar pullback, but the trend is still up, which is bearish. NASI RSI, got to watch for a flip from oversold on this. This is a pretty reliable signal when it starts to trend. RG8 oversold, but we got to hook up in them all, and we also do in all 5 of the major indexes. We're still operating under the bear case, but certainly some signs of strength that we're looking forward to build on. And it's possible we have a great day tomorrow and it all gets blown apart when Powell speaks Friday morning at 10 a.m. from Jackson Hole. Last year, uh, he had a very hawkish speech. The big quote from that is, "There will be some pain," and the market was down over 3% that day. He basically put the brakes on what at that point was an attempted rally off of the lows. So certainly have to see how that factors into things. But from a news standpoint, NVIDIA crushing expectations on earnings, up 8 to 9% after hours. Day count. Day 4, follow through day, we'll see. That's yet to be determined. First day back above the ADMA, so breaking a long downtrend there. Still the 12th day under the 21 for the S&P, but after hours, we're above it. That's the green plus sign there. Let's see, 10 out of 11 sectors positive, gold and silver positive, banks positive, semiconductors positive. On the downside, the dollar and 2 of the 3 oil sector ETFs. Focus list, the only thing we did in-house today was add to Uber as it continued to show strength off the 50-day, and we're going to look at a couple of things that we don't own but are benefiting from NVIDIA also. So the bottom line for the day, O'Neill rally attempt day 4. BIG-7 leads a broad rally, 10 out of 11 sectors up. And then NVIDIA, did it spark a follow-through day after hours? We'll have to keep an eye on the official ruling on that, but it's more than just one day or an after hours report. It's what happens the couple of days after that, because any signs of distribution immediately after a follow-through day have uh, a major risk of a rally failing if a distribution day comes up in one of the first 3 days after a rally is initiated. So that's something else we'll be keeping an eye on. And let's see, that's it. Let's take a look at some charts now. And we're going to start off with the strongest, well, not quite the strongest, but a surprisingly strong action from Google today. We singled this out last week before it broke down back into the pivot after this cup and handle breakout. But big volume early. It tapered off during the day, but getting into the top of this, what's looking to be a 3.5 weeks tight here. Now Google continuing to show relative strength while it's pulling back. This is a big signature of future strength. No guarantee, of course, but it's definitely something we've always got our eye on. So Google, let's go to the stocks with NVIDIA being up after hours. Let's see where semiconductors up are after hours, up 1.8% at 509. So that's going to get it back above the 500 level, the 21-day EMA, and the 50-day moving average, also coming off of oversold. So that may be a way to play semiconductors if the strength permeates through to the rest of the sector. Let's look at NVIDIA. Here it is gapping up, as I said, up 8% after hours, currently trading at about 508. That'll be all-time highs. Today's high was 481. The high from last week was 480. So very clear blue sky breakout on NVIDIA. Let's go to the stock that we added to today. That's Uber. You can see the strength, no real volume on it, but holding this 44 level. So big support there, got above the 21, got above the 8, coming off the 50, made a higher high, slight pullback. Volume was stronger early, but it pulled back. But this is a nice rounded bottom that this is putting in. This is what you want to look for. This is a sign of strength. The volume hasn't really come in yet, but this looks pretty attractive. So we added to that today. Let's see what else. Okay, so 3 stocks that are positively impacted after hours, and they were last time we had NVIDIA gap up also, and that's SMCI. Here's the last NVIDIA gap up, 525. This went on to a very nice rally, and after hours, it is up 8.5%. Wow. Remember, their disappointment in their earnings report was because NVIDIA was not able to get them the chips they needed. After hours, this is back up in the 300 area. So working on filling the earnings gap. We'll be taking a close look at this one tomorrow. A second one benefiting from data centers and NVIDIA, VRT, up 7% after hours. This will be new all-time highs on this. We got stopped out on this last week amid the market weakness. We'll be taking a look at this one also. And ANET, big networking stock, benefited last time from NVIDIA. This is up 3.8% after hours to 197. So that'll take it above the high of its earnings gap up day at the beginning of August. So 3 other stocks benefiting from NVIDIA. We'll see how they act tomorrow, as well as how NVIDIA continues to act. And hopefully there won't be any negative comments in the conference call. They did, like I said, even raise their revenue guidance. So good stuff there coming from NVIDIA. And that's going to wrap it. As always, we'd love to hear from you. The email's don@revereasset.com or my partner, Dan Stewart, dan@revereasset.com if you're interested in becoming a client. The phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That's 855-732-5932. Remember, it's not how much you make in the markets, it's how much of that you can keep. During this most recent correction, we implemented our rules for keeping. We hate to give our gains back when the market wants to take them, but we love to gather the gains when the market wants to give them. And if the market's going to give them and see follow through strength tomorrow on this NVIDIA uh, strong earnings report, we'll certainly be in line with our plates in our hand to take them, because it's not how much you make in the market, it's how much of that you can keep. We want to make the gains, and we want to do our damnedest to keep them also. And with that, I'll wrap up today's video for Wednesday, August 23rd. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.